Hello viewers, you're welcome to yet another interesting edition of the program Health Matters on your favorite TV station NTA Gombe, Jewel of Excellence. I am Shade Salau, and today on the program I have my guest in the person of Aisha Abdullahi. She's a midwife, FTH here in Gombe. Aisha, you're welcome.
Thank you. Good evening.
It's good to see you.
Thank you.
So why is 2025 International Day of Midwives important, and why should it be celebrated?
All right. So this year's International Day of the Midwives is an opportunity for the world to see the tireless efforts of midwives, the efforts that they put in ensuring the survival of mother and child, especially during the period of pregnancy or delivery. Okay. This is also a period of time that is critical. The reason why this day is celebrated is because it shows that midwives are not just a part of healthcare, but they are very critical and important in such a way that they make a difference between life and death. So they're not in the middle, they're not at the bottom, definitely, but they are high ranking in the health sector, and they should be very much be appreciated as such that they are. Yes, and especially in a country like Nigeria that we have, where we are still having cases of maternal deaths. So midwives play a very critical role in ensuring that the numbers of deaths are greatly reduced.
Okay, thank you. Now, as the campaign theme implies, midwives are critical in every maternal crisis. What does this really mean? I know you've already made mention of something at the beginning of the program. If there's anything you want to add to it?
Yes, midwives are very critical in almost every aspect of life, and it just doesn't just involve the woman, but it also involves the man, in such a way that a woman is important in the life of a young girl that is about to start her menstruation, more important to a woman that is having menopause. It's a life-changing aspect of a woman's life, but a midwife is most important during bringing life into this world. A woman who is trying to get a baby, a woman who is pregnant, a woman who is about to give birth, because those are very critical points in life that it can end well or not, and a midwife has the skills to make sure that it ends well. So that is how critical a midwife's importance is in a woman's life. And when a woman is saved, especially during delivery, she saves the whole family. The man is also he appreciates that because his wife comes home with a living baby. So, and also the man will also be involved in the aspect of family planning, which the midwife advises. So you see, a midwife's importance cannot be underestimated in the lives of both men and women, children, and also adults in this life.
Thank you for this insight. Now, what are some of the challenges facing midwives in Nigeria?
There are a few challenges that midwives face in Nigeria. We can start by shortage of midwives. We do have shortage of midwives in our facilities, that is one. And when there are midwives in facilities, they do work an extended period of time, which stresses them out, and they may not perform their best. And even at that, some of them are paid. In most facilities, they are underpaid. So because of that, it may not boost their morale, and there's a limitation in advancing their careers, that is the midwives. And then in aspects of promotion and things like that, midwives have challenges where they said if you're not a nurse, like you're not enough and things like that. So there's that kind of degrading talk towards midwife, like they're not as important, not knowing or ignoring the fact that they are the most important aspect of healthcare.
Thank you for this insight. Talking about what you just said about the challenges, let me quickly divulge into this question. Now, there's this Japa syndrome. So why are nurses, why are midwives running away from Nigeria to other countries?
You don't blame them, do you? Because honestly, yes, everyone is looking for greener pastures. Yes, if you had it better here, you know, there are so many challenges. For example, security-wise, you may have issues going to and fro work. And after that, you know, the high cost of living, it's just too much. How much is the salary that you go to and fro work? We have children, we have families. And also aside of that, we have as I mentioned earlier about the low pay, the pay is not much to take home to. Yeah, and aside from that, there is, as I said, also limited career advancements. We still in Nigeria, a degree in midwifery is still not recognized. We have to go and become full nurses, even if you want to take the full career of being a midwife. But places like Ghana, you know, they acknowledge a degree in midwifery, which still in Nigeria, it's still not acknowledged. Yeah, so there's that career advancement challenges. And then also the schools of nursing, we may need, you know, for them to have a greater number of intake for the midwives, to reduce the workload, you know, for the midwives and things like that. So you don't blame them when they try to find something better for themselves. And in other countries where there is sanity, where they have better opportunities for their children, and then themselves, you know, there's always electricity, just that kind of stability that Nigeria doesn't give us. So yeah, that's the reason, and honestly, I don't blame them.
Okay, well said. In what you've said, that means there's a difference between being a midwife and being a nurse.
Yes, there is.
Can you educate us on that?
All right. So, you know, as a midwife, by just definition, is a person in Greek form, is a person that is with a woman. Just by she's a woman, she's a person that cares for a woman, you know, before, during, and after delivery and in between. Now, a nurse is a person that is involved in wholly care of different aspects, like she can care for a surgical site, she can care for, you know, she's not just confined to, you know, maternal care. A nurse is someone that, you know, there can be an ENT nurse, you know, someone that there can be, you know, there are different nurses, just as, you know, the doctors, there are different specialties. In nurses, there are different specialties. Now, the reason why the midwives are well known is because, you know, in Nigeria, we have a problem of postpartum hemorrhage. You know, postpartum hemorrhage is the #1, you know, killer of women worldwide. And Nigeria, unfortunately, has taken the wide number in that. So Nigeria introduced the system where in colleges of education, instead of studying nursing, you can study midwifery first. It's a 3-year program. When you study your midwifery, when you need to advance in that career, you have to go and, you know, do your nursing. But that midwifery that you do, it will, when you are certified, it will allow you to practice as a midwife. That's the logic behind that is to prevent, you know, bleeding, postpartum hemorrhage for women, to reduce the number of maternal deaths in the country. You get, so that is why midwives are trained, you know, are allowed to train before you are trained as a trained nurse. Yes, because that is the only specialty you can do without actually doing the nursing first. All other specialties, you have to do the nursing and then you add on top. But midwifery, because of the alarming rates of maternal deaths, you can actually do it first when you're trained and certified. Then you can go and help, you know, in the communities to reduce the number of maternal deaths. But in order to advance in that career, you have to go back, whether to the university or into another college of nursing, to advance to do your nursing, you know, and add on top of that. So that is the difference.
Thank you for this knowledge.
You're welcome.
Now, what can the government do in providing solutions to see that midwives are adequately catered for?
Well, it can start by, you know, including midwifery in its policies. When it's introducing health policies. It can also help by helping in the infrastructure of midwifery schools, like our colleges of nursing, training more teachers, you know, and also allowing for the already trained and professional midwives to advance in their careers. That way there are chances of producing more professional and advanced midwives that go with, you know, with technology and with the time and things like that. So government will help in that aspect, and also it is important that government also provide incentives while training, and also it should also the trained professionals also don't mind those incentives so they can be retained.
Okay. Now, in the practical aspects of being a midwife, you know, there is the theoretical part, the school part, then there's a practical part. We do say it is, I want to use the word challenging, but it's not easy being a midwife at the point of your job practically.
At the point
is it interesting?
Very interesting. When I did midwifery school for 3 years, I have never been bored one day.
Okay.
I enjoyed every single period of it. Okay. Because every day is a new, like, there's always a new topic. There's always something to learn. And the best part about it is that it's real life experiences. Yes. It's something that if you have not experienced already, you know someone that has experienced it. And I am a mother myself. Okay. So most things I've gone through them. So it's very amazing that, you know, you can get clarity. Yeah. In fact, I would like to mention that the reason why I went to midwifery school myself was because of the challenges I faced after I've delivered my daughter. And I realized that, you know, if only I knew better, I would have made better decisions. So I said, why not? Like, it will just be 3 years. You know, 3 years of my life will eventually pass whether I stay or don't do it or do it. Yes. Yeah, so I went back to midwifery. It was the most challenging time of my life, but I enjoyed every minute of it. And I like to pass that knowledge to to other upcoming mothers, just so they can have an easier, you know, pregnancy and birth, like you know, unlike the one that I had. Okay. Yeah. So, and then in practice, personally, I don't find it challenging. I find it very interesting, and especially the point that you help a woman become a mother. You are the first person in contact with her baby. It's an amazing feeling that cannot be described. So I've not been bored, I've not been challenged so far, but I love the challenges, and I love learning new things and how to make it easier for new mothers.
Thank you. Well said. Talking about encouraging, you know, women to go into midwifery, is there a particular qualification, or if you just have an interest, you just, like, how is it being done? If I'm interested in learning midwifery, what do I do? Where do I go to?
Well, here in Gombe, we have a few private and government-owned colleges of nursing and midwifery. Yes, I also went to the College of Nursing and Midwifery here in Gombe. And the process is a bit more strict, you know, because some people, I realized, are not going in for the right reasons. You know, there used to be an incentive for students when they go to the college, and then there used to be also an automatic employment for that. So with that, you may get people that have the wrong intentions when going into the profession. So the process is a bit more strict now. You know, the process, there are exams, there are things like that, just to try and sift through to make sure they are trying to get the right kind of people. Yes, but I think you need your basic, you know, leaving school certificate, WAEC, and things like that. When you have your write your examination, usually when you pass, they usually have a cutoff mark of a required number. When I did it, I think it was about 30, and then it was increased to 50. I don't know the actual number now. But, you know, the higher you score, you know, the better your grades, the higher chances you may have. Yes, but I encourage women, if you don't get it this time, try it another time, try it another time. Time will eventually pass, whether you do it or you don't. Just try it. As long as you have the actual passion, you can wait and do it. And there are other private universities too. I don't know about scholarship opportunities, but I know there are quite a number of schools of nursing in town now. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Now, narrowing down to our state, Gombe here, as a focal point, what role has the Medical Women's Association played in ensuring that the goals and objectives are met, especially for this year?
So the Medical Women Association of Nigeria Gombe State Chapter has been known to prioritize advocacy and education. And for this year's themes internationally for midwives, it took part in sensitization of midwives through its program in order to prevent postpartum hemorrhage in the rural areas. So that is the role the Medical Women Association of Nigeria, and I believe it's very good. It's a very good initiative that they are helping the communities by equipping the midwives with more knowledge and education that they need to help the communities back.
Okay. Now, a lay person may not really understand postpartum what?
All right.
Hemorrhage? What does that,
Hemorrhage.
what
Yes.
does that mean?
Postpartum hemorrhage is like, it's the bleeding that some women go through after delivery.
Okay.
It has no known cause. Usually there may be risk factors, but
Okay.
you cannot say, oh, this particular person is going to bleed or not. So it's an uncontrollable form of bleeding, and that can kill a woman in the shortest period of time. So it's a very dangerous situation. That is the #1 killer of women in Nigeria at this point that we're talking. And remember, as I told you, it is the reason that midwives are allowed to study before becoming nurses.
Okay.
So that is the gravity of, you know, the situation, to show you how scary it can be, how easily it can kill women.
Sad about it.
It's very sad, unfortunate that we're still going through such things at this day and age.
So, in the communities where women face this sad experience,
Yes.
as a midwife, what do you do? What's your first point of call?
Wow.
Like, how do you address the bleeding? Like, do you address it first before you now take the mother to the hospital, or is it the traditional way that you don't even need a nurse? How is it being done?
Well, usually when women, that is why women are encouraged to come for antenatal.
Yes.
Because when you come for antenatal, the risk factors can be seen. And when there are risk factors, you will be referred to a secondary facility that will be able to cater to that need.
Okay.
So that is why women are encouraged to give birth in facilities, unlike giving birth, you know, maybe with traditional birth attendants at home. Yes, and at least, you know, when those women are told the risk factors, okay, you may have placenta previa, you cannot deliver, you need cesarean section and things like that. So the women with that knowledge, they will make an informed decision with their families. Okay, in the best interest of this family, of my life, okay, we need to go to a secondary facility to maybe have a cesarean section and things like that. So that is, you know, the roles midwives play, to educate them about the dangers, you know, of this particular condition, and that it doesn't have a face, like it doesn't show on your forehead that, oh, you're going to bleed or you're not going to bleed. So, you know, that's the power of midwives. You know, you do not need tools to convince women. All you need is your knowledge to educate them and also guide them, just so they can make that informed decision to save their lives. And it's as easy as, you know, life and death. If they take your advice, they would be saved.
Yes.
You know, and if they don't, you know, it can go otherwise, which we don't like.
Nobody likes it.
Nobody likes it.
Talking about awareness now, this year's 2025 International Day for Midwives, I believe it's a yearly thing.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, will you say there has been a significant positive change from last year to this year, maybe in terms of sensitization, awareness and stuff like that?
Yes, there has been. You know, every year there is a new theme.
Yes.
And most times every year, you know, it looks into like critical happenings around the world in order to create a theme around it. But I believe education is very powerful.
Yes.
We have social media, we have television, you know, radio and things like that. Although very unfortunately there are still, you know, villages and remote locations that do not have access to this kind of things, but at least, you know, we're getting there. And then the people that are in the town and things like that, with word of mouth, you know, they say, okay, we have heard this, now don't do this, don't do that. So education and awareness is a very strong, powerful tool that you can use to change, you know, the mindset of people and also their forms of living.
Okay, I know we are speaking English now, and I know you're going to speak with my colleague for the Hausa, you know. So now the thing is, when you're doing this advocacy and awareness, maybe in communities, do you speak in the language they understand, or is just strictly English and Hausa?
No, you use the language that you can communicate to the people that you may find. Like even myself, I advocate, you know, sexual reproductive health education online, but I use Hausa because my target community is, my target audience are the Hausa, and there are over you know, over 50 million Nigerians, almost 60 million Nigerians that speak Hausa. So when you use social media to advocate using the language, you're potentially reaching that amount of people, you know. So if wherever you find yourself, you find a guide, or if you that's if you cannot speak the language. So it's not just Hausa, it's not just English. Even if it takes for you to speak Tera, even if it takes for you to speak Fulfulde, you have to communicate to them. Communication is when the other person understands what you're saying. So there is no communication when the other person doesn't understand. So even if it takes you taking somebody from where you are for them to talk to, you know, even the people, if you cannot understand their language or communicate to them like that, they won't listen to you, talk less of hearing or understanding what you're going to say.
That's true.
Yeah.
So you've already attested that the media is a very powerful tool.
Very much so.
Okay, thank you. So, just as I asked, you've already answered it, why awareness is very, very critical. And then we also talked about midwives, japaring.
Yes.
If you have if you were to advise those that are considering the Japa syndrome, what will you say? I know that you said, if it were me, what would I do? But we need midwives, whether we like it or not, in Nigeria and Gombe. So how do we stop this Japa movement?
Well, you can't stop someone from looking for greener pastures.
Exactly.
But I believe the government can do better, you know, with better incentives, better working conditions, better working hours too. It can be a reason to retain the midwives where they are.
Okay.
So the government will do better. It is a role that the government will play. And when they play it well, they can retain some midwives.
Okay.
You know, there's currently the National Midwifery Council, you know, have put like a 2-year sanction. Like
yes, I think I saw something like that.
Yeah, you have to work for 2 years. It's all in an effort, but after the 2 years, people will still go. After the 2 years, so unless you put things in place like better health care also for the midwives, maybe housing facilities and things like that, those incentives that will say, okay, you know, what more do I need? You know, I'm safe, I'm comfortable and things like that. Why not? Okay.
Talking about, that's the earlier question I asked you, where you talked about encouraging women to study midwifery.
Yes.
Is it science-based, or someone like me that just read social sciences, if I just have the flair or maybe the passion to care for babies, what is the guide? What are the processes?
It is science-based.
Okay.
It is science-based. So even if you studied arts in secondary school, you may need to rewrite science exam, you know, those biology, chemistry, physics during your work, because like that's the prerequisite of getting admission. You need those basic fives like chemistry, physics, biology, maths and English.
So that means it's not just for everybody.
No, it's not just everybody. You can always switch. I've seen doctors, you know, those that studied arts in secondary school, you know, rewrite work with the required subject and went ahead to become doctors. So it's very possible.
Now, on a final note, for our esteemed viewers that are watching right now, what advice do you have in terms of encouraging people to join in midwifery? And what advice again do you have in ensuring that the passion and flair you have in, you know, in safeguarding the mother is paramount?
I encourage women especially to study midwifery, but you know, in our conservative part of Nigeria, women, you know, the opportunities women have are very limited. So I encourage the men in our lives to actually help us in pursuing these dreams, whether it's our fathers, you know, whether our husbands. Yes, to encourage girls and also help them, give them a little push, though they may go through this process. Eventually, it's for the better good of all our society. Yes, and also my advice to government is to, you know, look into better welfare for midwives. You know, we're not just, you know, any part of healthcare. There is no person in this life that, you know, has not encountered a midwife in some aspect of his or her life. So we're that critical and we're that important if we can make a difference between life and death that easily. Yes, and I also call on the esteemed viewers, those at home, those that can hear us, to please encourage your midwives, listen to them, you know, whatever advice they may give you, like going for antenatal, giving birth in health facilities, please listen to them. They're not just talking anyhow. They have evidence-based, you know, science like that is backing what they are telling you. So it's very important that you listen to them, listen to what they say, protect them in their those that are in remote settings, you know, provide protection for them against anything bad that may happen to them, so they can help you in protecting your women, your small children, and things like that.
I want to thank you so much, Aisha, for coming and sharing your wonderful insight to our viewers today.
Thank you for having me.
I hope when we see the need to call you next time, you will do us well by coming again.
I'll be very happy to.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
My guest on the program has been Aisha Abdullahi. She's a midwife, Federal Teaching Hospital here in Gombe. She has done justice on the topic 2025 International Day of Midwives. From all of us here in the studio, I remain your host, Shade Salau. It's bye for now.